Hello, 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 everybody. Come right on in. Carolyn Williams with Money Reverse. Wanted to come on board and share with you, as I promised, those of you, well, first of all, I always broadcast live whenever we see stock market volatility high. The measure that I chose last year was 25. When we see the VIX over 25, then I come live and want to guide you all through the volatility, tell you what market moves that I'm making, and also answer any of your questions. So now this is what we do for those that have graduated from the 21 Days to Stock Market Investing course. You get in the graduates form, and this is just a service that I have for you all. But what I'm doing this week is I'm broadcasting this also on my Money Reverse page and on my Money Reverse YouTube channel. So you guys that have not taken the class are going to kind of get some insight into what those graduates get. So, but feel free to jump in, answer any questions, and say hello when you join. Even if you're watching this on the replay, just say hello and let me know that you're watching. Now, the VIX is over 25. You know what, team? It is just over 25 right now. It's at 25.35. But earlier today, it was up to 28. And just like we always say, anytime we're seeing the VIX over 25, we're likely to see those big fluctuations that happen in a single day. We can see, and that exact same thing happened. Right now, when we look at all of our markets, let me take a look real quick. Let me take a look. They're all trading high. They're all trading in the green today, the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ. And the NASDAQ has the biggest upswing, which, I like that because I'm a tech girl and I have several tech stocks in my portfolio. Tech has done real well in the last 11, 12 years, except last year. It was one of the lowest performers. So the NASDAQ is up, which is a lot of tech stocks, and everything's trading high. Even oil is up today. That wasn't the case earlier. No, it was the case earlier. We had all of the indices up, but the VIX was higher also. So if you haven't noticed, what we see here is whenever the VIX is trading, whenever we see markets trade up, the VIX tends to drop. So even though it's a volatility index, this time it tends to be trading downward when markets are trading up. And when markets are trading down, the VIX goes up. So we're seeing this seesaw effect. That makes perfect sense because we know markets drop faster than they go up. That's just the way stocks trade. They trade up like this, pull back a little bit, go up a little bit, back a little bit, up a little bit, back a little bit. I know I get annoying. But when stocks drop, they drop like this. They drop fast. So of course, whenever we see stocks trading down, they move at a much faster pace than they go up. So that in turn tells us why the VIX is trading high. So with that, let me know if you have any questions about what's going on. I want to tell you a few things about what's going on right now, and also just share some information on stock picking. What's going on is the volatility is high, and what we're seeing at this when we get to 28, between 28 and 30, we typically have been seeing, and this is day 6 that I've done this, which means the VIX has been high for over 25 for 6 days in a row. And so that started on a Friday. And so last Friday was 5 days, and then this is day 6. So with that, whenever we see us go into that 28 to 30 range of the VIX, we tend to see the markets kind of change complete directions, meaning if we had an up in the start, by noon, it changes and things are going down. Or if we saw it down in the early morning, by noon, it changes and starts to go up. So we start to see that shift at about 11 o'clock, 11:30. It happened a little bit earlier today. It was about 10:30 or 11. We started to really see the NASDAQ put the pedal to the metal and start to go up. So that's a good thing. Let me know how your portfolio is looking. Now, one thing I also want you to know is that, remember, the VIX is the volatility index, and it's measuring the S&P 500. I like to use that one simply because the S&P 500 is the de facto standard for what's going on in the market. What's going on in the overall market, we look at the S&P 500. But I've really gotten more attached to another volatility index that I don't talk about as much, but I watch it, and it is the VXN. It's also a CBOE volatility index, but it is measuring the volatility of the NASDAQ. And the reason that I've gotten more interested in that one is simply because the NASDAQ, the tech stocks, is what's really been having a hard time lately. And we're in earnings season. And so I just want to know what the volatility looks like there. And remember, volatility is a predictive index. It's a predictive, what do we think volatility is going to be like over the next 30 trading days, which is 6 weeks. So with that, just wanted to share that with you. Let me know if you have any questions, and post hello in the comments when you arrive, just to let me know that you're there. And what I want to do is kind of give you an update of what's going on this week and what I'm watching and what I'm working with my traders in the Quick Money Trading Group. Now, those of you that have taken the class, you can join the Quick Money Trading Group at any time. This is the group in which I pull to the side. I trade live with them 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 2.5 hours a day. I give them insights on markets. They get to see all of my stock trades. They can mimic my stock trades or use the information that I'm giving to trade on their own. You also get to see what everybody else is trading. So you have to really be open in this group. There's no hiding of anything. Everybody can see what everybody's trading, so that if you're doing something that's making money, somebody else can do that same thing, and vice versa. If I'm doing things that make money, everybody in the group can do that same thing. And this group, majority of the year, we had 5 or 6 people in the group. We made over $250,000 trading just a few hours a day. Everybody has a full-time job, so this is not what they do all day. So the members of the group say, this is what they say, we're here for life, basically, because we get to watch your trades and we're learning so much. We also meet on a regular basis. Every Sunday evening, we have a strategy meeting so that we can get up and be ready for the week that's coming. I'm going to tell you a few things that came out of our strategy meeting from last night. Today is Monday, so our strategy meetings are on Sunday nights. Now, a few things that I shared in that meeting is about earnings. Remember, we are in earnings season. And remember, if there's one day that the stock price is going to move, no matter what the stock is, it is the day that they provide their earnings report, the day that they release their earnings information to the SEC. I promise you that day that stock price is going to move. That stock price is going to move that day. Whether it moves up or down, I can't tell you that. And it's dependent on what's in the report and depending on what the people in the earnings call say. But the stock price is going to move that day. This week, there's 517 companies doing that. There's 517 companies doing that. So again, volatility is going to stay here because remember I said that stock price is going to move when they release their earnings. There's 500 of those happening. Today alone, there's 33 companies that are releasing. Some big ones that are releasing this week is some big tech, and they tend to cause other stocks in that same sector to trade the same way. All stocks do. When a stock releases their earnings, if it's a healthcare stock, you'll see others in the healthcare industry just tend to trade like that stock. They trade like their brothers and sisters in a sector. So that's why I love to make sure that you understand sectors and that we know what sectors are going to be focused on this week. So let me tell you, this week we have Google releasing on Tuesday. We also have Meta, also known as Facebook, or Facebook, also known as Meta. They release this week. We also have Amazon. So those are the techs that are releasing. Snap, Pinterest, And then we also starting to have some semiconductor stocks, Qualcomm, Skyworks, and some oil companies. Remember, there's 517 companies releasing. So go and look up on the earnings information so you can see. I want you to know anytime anything in your portfolio, you have something in your portfolio, I want you to know the day that they release their earnings. It's important. I want you to know the stock is going to move that day, whether it moves higher or lower, but it remains to be seen, but I just don't want you to be surprised with that move. Now, so we got big earnings this week. So I'm watching things on that front. I'm not getting in anything before earnings. I'm in several things already that are releasing their earnings. And several of them are tech and they're in the red. So I'm looking for some tech recovery. I'm in Tesla. It's doing real good today. So I'm looking to see a good profit on my Tesla position too. I will sell it. I'm not holding it for long term. I'm just in for quick money. Get in, get out. When it drops again, I'll buy it again. I'll get out when it goes up. I'm just trying to make money, y'all. If you're just trying to make money, just say, I'm just trying to make money. Now, one thing that I talked about, let me see if I see some of your questions, because one thing that we talked about last week was stock picking. Because you say, Carolyn, what do we do? How do we pick stocks? Now, if you have taken the 21 days to stock market investing class, those that are in the graduates forum, you know how to pick stocks. I'm just going to remind you. It is the majority of what we went through in the class. So I'm going to give you a few tips. I think I'm going to be live here every day because what I'm telling you is that I think the VIX is going to be over 25 every day, which means I'm going to come live every day and be here to answer your questions. If you don't have any questions, I'm just going to provide some information for you. So if you watch this on the replay, you're getting some valuable information in the meantime. So let's talk about stock picking. I'm going to give you point number one for stock picking. First of all, the reason we need to know about stock picking is last year in 2021, we saw stocks trading in groups, and they were trading very, very not volatile. They were trading in a good way, whether it was up or down, and it was trading on news. The market was really moving on news, not necessarily the fundamentals of the stock. It didn't matter what the stock price was. We also had several meme runs, which means we had stocks that were just favorites of a lot of groups of traders, and groups of traders said, hey, let's all go buy this stock, or let's all go sell this stock. And so that caused stock price to move. When you can get millions of people to do that, oh yeah, you're going to move the market. So we saw GameStop, AMC, Cost, Express, a whole lot of them moving like that. That's not happening right now. That's not happening right now. It has now gotten to where you need to know how to pick stocks. You can't just jump on the bandwagon of everybody else, what everybody else is doing. You can't just jump on stocks because, okay, we're talking about vaccinations or COVID vaccinations, so I'm going to go buy the COVID vaccine stocks. That doesn't work anymore. Those plays are over for now. So guess where we are? We're to where you're hear analysts say this is a stock picker's market. That's exactly right. Now, for those of you that have taken the 21 days class, this is everything that I taught you in the class. I know you haven't had to use it in the last year because we had volume that was really driving the movement of the market, but volume isn't making it anymore. I was just looking. I have 504 stocks on my watch list. I have over 500 stocks on my watch list. And I went through and I looked at the volume for the stocks. And of those 504, 5 of these were actually trading at a volume higher than their average volume. 5 out of 504 stocks. So we just don't have the volume right now. And just like I'm not trading a lot right now until I can see really good opportunities to get in, Most smart traders are doing that. We're not just going out there and putting money in anything to see if it's going to work. You've got to know what you're doing. You've got to know what you're doing. You can't just follow the crowd. So this is where stock picking becomes very important. What are the main things that you use in stock picking? Fundamentals. Fundamentals, the company fundamentals. And so what I'm going to tell you is go go back and watch fundamental analysis. So if in your 21 days class, your day 1 class and your day 8 class, really focused on fundamental analysis. And here in the graduates group, I want to share with you some links about advanced fundamental analysis. There's several videos that are here for you right here in the graduates forum that is advanced fundamental analysis. So with that, let me tell you one thing that I want us to focus on today. And we're going to talk about stock picking every day that I come live. The one thing I want us to focus on today, and that is you've got to know what's going on in the market, what's going on in the world, and how it affects the market. We've got to know what's going on in the world and how it affects the market. Last year, that we needed to know what was going on in the world and how it affected the markets, but only for one or two things. Only for one or two things. We didn't really have to really understand what was going on. We needed to know about what was happening with coronavirus. We needed to know what was happening with, relations, any geopolitical, uprisings that U.S. had with China or any other nation. We needed to know that. But outside of that, we really didn't have to know a whole lot because we had all this volume and we had all these traders that were introduced to the market and they were trading and we were, we could just follow what they were doing. It worked out really well for a lot of people. Things are a little bit different. So we have to know what's going on in the market, what's going on in the world, and how it affects the market. Let me kind of tell you what's going on that we need to really understand right now. Two things that I'm going to focus on. Number one, in the US is inflation. We have to understand what's going on in inflation because it is going to really affect how our markets trade. Our markets are trading with uncertainty now because of what happened last week with the Fed meeting as we were expecting them to deal with inflation right now. So inflation, just want to let you know, inflation is at all-time high, not all-time highs. It's been this high before, but not since 1981. So, it's been a long time. It's been 40 years so that we've seen inflation and it's at 7%, 7% inflation. We've been seeing 1.34, 1.2, 2.1% inflation for the last 40 years. Now we're at 7. So that is what's really affecting the markets. That's what's affecting us when we go to the store. That's what's affecting us when we do any shopping or want to travel. The price of everything has gone up. I'm going to do more teaching on inflation, or no, there is a teaching that I did on inflation. I'll post the videos to our stock market group, our graduates forum, our last month live training. I did a deep dive into inflation. We'll go a little bit deeper. We just haven't posted the videos yet, kind of having some issues with the videos, but I'm putting those on my list to get those posted today. If you didn't join our monthly live training for January, those videos will be posted in inflation. Oh yeah, that was a good teaching on inflation. So yeah, I do want you to watch that. So I'm going to give you more information about inflation, but I'm going to do that in more of a training environment, not the lives right here. Markets trade down when inflation is up. Markets trade down when inflation is up. Yeah. Markets trade up on anticipating that inflation is going to be lower. Markets trade up in anticipation that inflation is going to be reduced. Okay? So that's what I want you to know about inflation. Now, the next release of inflation data is going to happen, and it comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and it is CPI data, and it comes out February 10th. Let's see, I think I wrote it down. February 10th. February 10th. So that's when our next inflation update, and it is going to be the inflation numbers for January. Now, inflation reports are lagging indicators, meaning by the time you get the information, it's already happened. It's already happened. How the VIX is a predictive indicator, inflation is a lagging indicator. It's already been done to us by the time we get the numbers. So we're going to be responding after the fact. If those inflation numbers are higher, then we're going to see markets trade down. That's just the way it's going to work. So I want you to be aware of inflation. Stay open to news about inflation. I'm going to continue to post things about inflation here in our graduates forum. For those guests that are joining me on the Money Reverse page and on the Money Reverse YouTube, you won't get that information from me because you haven't taken the 21 days class, but I will be posting some good information about inflation on the Money Reverse page in the month of April. We're going to do that in Financial Literacy Month. So I'm going to share some information about inflation to everybody. That's my goal, is to make sure everybody gets the information. So I want you to really understand inflation and understand how it moves the market. The second thing that I want you to know about, that we all need to know about in understanding what's going on in the world and how it affects our US markets, is COVID. I know COVID brings all types of different responses from people, but I'm just want to talk to you true. Understand that COVID doesn't affect our US markets as much. We've gone kind of neutral on COVID, which is good. So when we hear about COVID cases rising in the US, our markets don't respond that much, which is good. We've gone neutral on COVID, which means our stock market isn't going up and down on, COVID cases going up or vaccination rates or anything like that. We've gone neutral here in the US, which is great. But COVID is worldwide, and other countries have not gone neutral on COVID. And because this is such a small world, and most of our business operate with partners across the world, COVID is going to affect us here in the US. It's going to affect our markets, even if we are not aroused or we are not put off by COVID cases, right? We are not in the US. We've gone mostly neutral, but in other countries, COVID is very big, enough where they're banning travel in China, Peru, many countries. You cannot travel there right now because of increased COVID cases. What that also means is that they're shutting down some manufacturing. They're doing things that are going to affect us and affect our US markets, mainly in the area of supply chain. If we can't get the goods and services from these countries that we need to keep our factories going, if we can't get the supplies and things that we sell in our markets here because they've shut down over there, that is going to affect how our market moves. So with that, I want you to understand inflation and understand COVID. Know what's happening and understand how it affects the markets. Remember, inflation is a US. That's our US business. We're talking about US inflation, okay? Other countries may have inflation too, but we are just talking about, we report only on what's going on in the US. So we're very, very selfish when it comes to inflation. But COVID is worldwide. It's a worldwide pandemic. And other countries are not responding the way that we are. And so we're going to see it as a lagging effect to our markets. Meaning, if China has shut down travel, which they've asked you to reconsider travel, which is a level 3 in travel. If you're coming to China, if you're going to any place in China, in many cases, they have turned people around to say, once you get here on the plane, you got to go back because we are not opening our borders. Borders are closing around the world. So what does that mean? It means that when it comes time, it could mean that when it comes time for us to get our regular shipment of supplies and services or goods or whatever we get from these other countries, they may not come because people are not allowed to work. People are not allowed to do anything. They're really going back on lockdown because of COVID in some cases, in some parts of the world. So it would be a lagging indicator to us because we don't get the supplies. So again, prices go up here, our stock prices go up, stock prices come down because inflation goes up, so forth, so on. So number one, we're talking about stock picking. This is point number one. And point number one is we've got to understand what's happening in the world and how it affects our markets. Now, that's all that I have for today. Let me know if you have any questions. I am not seeing any questions. Let me see. Let me see if I see any questions. And if you're watching this on the replay and have questions, go ahead and post them. And I just want you to know, I will respond to you, even if you watch this on the replay and post later. Now, I'm going to say that's all that I have. I'm going to be here to answer your questions. If we see volatility up tomorrow, I look at the VIX, and if the VIX is over 25, you can just bet Carolyn Williams is going to come live. And for this week only, the week of January 31st, week starting January 31st, then I'm also going to stream this live on my Money Reverse page and on my Money Reverse YouTube channel. So welcome to those of you that are joining me from those locations. Now, if you haven't taken my 21 days to stock market investing class, I do want you to know that I have a class that's starting up this coming Monday, February 7th. So this is an opportunity for you to really get into the fundamental analysis that's needed for stock picking, because this is a stock picker's market. You can't just follow what everybody else is doing. We've got to know what we're doing and go and pick the stocks that are going to be best for our portfolios. And every day that I'm here, I'm going to give you information on how to do that. So remember point one, I want you to start looking at news and information on inflation and COVID around the world and just understand what's happening and how it affects our markets. Okay, that's all I have, guys. I'm going to let you go. We'll talk to you later. See you tomorrow if the VIX is over 25. Have a great day.